All right, guys, welcome to your first e-learning. This is September 12th. We're going to finish, or actually pick up where we left off with Chapter 3. We're talking about the different types of wages. Let me skip ahead to where we were. We looked at, the last time we looked at the four most common ways employees earn money. Now we're going to look at the four most common ways employees receive their money that they've earned. First one is weekly. Okay, and again, understand the difference. In the past on tests, people get confused sometimes between when I ask what are the four ways employees earn money. That's the first part of this that we did: the hourly, salary, commission, rate, and piece pay. This talks about how they actually get their paychecks. Okay, when you have a job, how the frequency of when you get your paycheck. Okay, so the first one is weekly. Obviously, you're going to get a check every week. Okay, and this is big time test question. This is the most common way to do that. By the way, before I keep going, excuse me, there's a huge rumor going around that there will be a pop quiz tomorrow over this information. So I can't confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that my source is reliable, so you might want to take some good notes. But anyway, weekly is the most common frequency for high school students for sure that have part-time jobs. Most of you are going to get a check every week. Okay. Second way is biweekly. That's how we're paid here at Homestead. Some of you that I've talked with in class that have jobs get paid this way as well. Weekly is still the most common for high school, but this is becoming a trend where you get a paycheck every other week. So by meaning two. Instead of getting it once a week, you're getting it every other week. Okay. The third one is monthly. So you're going to get a check every month, once a month. This is the most common form if you are a commissioned employee. So if you earn commission, like a car salesman or a real estate agent, you're going to get a monthly commission check. Okay. And the last one is seasonally. When we think of seasonally, this is once at the end of every season, whatever that season may be. So if you look at farmers or the show Deadliest Catch, I think is the first example here. Guys, the king crab season is only so long. I can't remember how long it is, a few weeks. At the end of that few weeks is when they will get paid. Okay, farmers are the same way. They get paid once a year at the end of the season. When they harvest their crop is when they'll go in and get paid. Okay, now let's talk about some pros and cons of each form of payment. Okay, one of the good things about weekly is that you're getting a check every week, right? So at the end of the week, you're going to get paid, and then you have that money to last you just a week. Okay, a con might be, it's not a large sum. It's only for the hours that you worked for that particular week. Okay, here's where you have to start being a little bit more disciplined when we look at the biweekly pay, because you're not going to get another check for another 2 weeks. So you have to, while the amount is going to be more on the check than it would be if it was just weekly, you're not going to get another check until the end of, or till the next 2 weeks. Okay, so if you get paid this Friday, you won't get one next Friday. You'll get it the following. So you really have to be disciplined. And the longer we go on the frequency, the more disciplined you have to be. So again, monthly for commission employees, they're not going to get a check. They'll get a check September 1st, and they're not going to get another check until October. So you really, really have to be smart with your budgeting, and make sure you can stretch that check to last you all 4 weeks. Positive or pro of that would be you're getting a larger amount all at once. Maybe that could come in handy. But again, the farther out they are, the more disciplined you have to be in terms of budgeting. Okay, and then obviously seasonally, if you're only getting a check once a year, you really, really have to be disciplined. For those of you sports fans out there, The NFL is the only professional league that pays their players only during the season. So what that means is that they'll prorate their check. Let's say it's $1 million is what their salary is. They will split that up. The NFL 16 weeks. They'll split that up into 16 payments, which, I mean, guys are getting, $200,000-$300,000 checks every week. But the bad part or the con to that is at the end of the season, they're not getting paid again until that following season. So they really, really have to budget well. If you've ever seen the 30 for 30 called Broke on ESPN, it shows a big reason why a lot of the guys in the NFL go broke, because they don't know how to manage that money for the and save it for the off season. Okay. One of the things that we'll talk about later, when you do the things you're supposed to do in high school and preparing yourself for college, you're going to have choices, right? The harder you work, the more choices you're going to have. I've said this before, but we all like to pick out what we're wearing to school or what we're wearing, if we go out or something on the weekend. When you do what you're supposed to in school, then you'll have a lot of choices or options that open up. One of the ways that employers try to get good employees is through these employee benefits. Okay, employee benefits are forms of pay, if you will, other than wages. Right? Well, you might be like, well, Mr. Rogers, what do you mean by that? What's a form of pay other than the actual money? Well, they're perks or incentives that companies use. Here's some examples. We get some of these as a teacher. When you guys go and get your career, some of you right now might have some of these. I've heard like Best Buy does some of this stuff for part-time employees, which is great. But paid vacations, your sick leave, that kind of stuff. One of the perks of working at a company is they might say, okay, you get 2 weeks paid vacation. So what that means is you could take up to 2 weeks of vacation time, but still get paid as if you were working there. So that's a big perk. Health insurance is huge. Meal cafeteria plan. I think maybe on Friday we're doing this, or maybe next Friday. We will look at Google. Google has one of the coolest employee perk or incentive programs, benefit programs. They have a gym, they have a daycare, a doctor on site. They have one of the best cafeterias across the country, like 7 or 8 different options with 5-star chefs. And it's all paid for by the company. It's all part of that employee benefit package. In fact, if you've ever been to Sweetwater here in Fort Wayne, Sweetwater's got, I think they're trying to be like Google a little bit in what they do for their employees, because they have all sorts of different really cool things, benefits for their employees. And the reason that companies do that, guys, is because they want to attract the most talented employee. They want the best employees working for them and not their competition. But also too, happy employees are productive employees. So what that means is the happier you are and the better mood you're in, and the more fulfilled you feel as an employee, the harder you're going to work for that company. The higher the productivity is in the company, the more money for the company. Okay. Some other ideas or options for employee benefits are retirement or pension accounts. Like if you want to become a teacher, we have the pension fund, which is great. And then other perks. Some companies give out a company car that you drive while you're working with them, maybe a prime parking spot, stuff like that. But those are all examples of employee benefits. Okay. Now, when we talk about employee benefits, there's also this thing called unearned income. Okay. And this is money that you receive outside of your normal employment or outside of your job. It's either for yourself or for somebody else. And I'll give you some examples so we know what we're talking about. In your book on page 52 is a list of these that you can see. But like and we'll talk more about this stuff, these first 3, when we get into the investment lesson of Dave Ramsey. But you can earn interest on investments that you've made, dividends, or what companies, if you own a share of stock in a company, they might pay X amount per share to their shareholders, either quarterly or monthly or yearly, depending on the company. Capital gains are if you buy and sell stock. You buy a stock at $30 and then you sell it at 40. You're making $10. That's called a capital gain. That's income that you have earned outside of your regular employment. Gambling winnings. There's a thing called alimony, but not in Indiana. We are not an alimony state. Alimony is when a couple divorces and the main breadwinner, or the person that has the most income, pays the spouse X amount so they can maintain the same lifestyle that they had when they were married. Again, it's not in Indiana, so we don't need to worry about it. Social Security benefits, if there's a disability of some kind, the government will pay you. Pensions, like I talked about with school or with a teacher and other retirement pensions. And then unemployment compensation. If you're unemployed and you're receiving unemployment, that is considered unearned income. Okay? We will pick this up where we left off on Wednesday. Now, again, just don't be prepared if the rumor is true that there will be a pop quiz tomorrow. Go to the next assignment in the mod. There's some math questions on hourly wages and then overtime. Don't forget when we talk about overtime, and I'll go back to this even though this was the other day, just so you have this formula in case you didn't write it down. But overtime, again, is figured as time plus half, right? And so when we say time, that's their hourly wage, and then half of the hourly wage. Add those two together, and that gets you the overtime hourly wage. All right, and again, anything over 40 hours is considered overtime. Hope you guys are enjoying your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Email me if you have any questions. Otherwise, I'll talk to you tomorrow.